I have a wonderful, beautiful, fabulous lady joining me today. Elizabeth Toller, aka Beth, is your quirky guide to life, to a more creative life. And her calling in life was to service others. And we'll talk more about that. And what she's doing now is she's an intuitive life coach using her ability as psychic medium, tarot card reader, and Reiki healer. She's also a speaker on the power of the personal project that is a creative strategy to elevate your life, business, and art. And what she does is she teaches others how to raise your habit in life ritual so that you can guide through life and having more time for creativity. Now, wouldn't that be amazing if we can have more time to be creative, right? Please join me and welcome Elizabeth Toller. Elizabeth.
Hi, so good to see you.
So good to see you. I was just recently on your social, and previously you were a photographer. And I remember you posting recently about attending a photography convention.
Yes, I am still a photographer.
And
Yes.
so, how did you get into coaching from a photographer to coaching? How did that happen?
It's always been a part of it. Since I'm a psychic medium and an intuitive tarot reader and a Reiki healer, I have always met people who needed my services. And I have now, in the last few years, decided to make it part of my business.
Was there a part of your journey where you felt like you got pulled into doing Reiki, psychic medium? Like, how did that start? Because photography is something you would think that it's more like you have the prints, right? You take a
Yes.
photo, it looks pretty, but people don't normally associate it with psychic medium. So how did that come together?
I owned a children and family portrait studio for about 12 years. And in getting to know my clients as I was photographing them and through the whole process of meeting them and photographing them and then the sales process and delivering them, I really became a part of their family. And with that, I had the ability to help them in other ways. And it just kind of became part of who I was to also be able to help people with their struggles and roadblocks in life. So now I've been developing it over the last few years into an actual business.
So let's say I'm someone who have no idea of what the psychic medium do and what the tarot card reader do. So what do you do exactly?
I talk to people and I find out where their roadblocks are. And then I tap into my spirit guides and consult the tarot cards. And also as a medium, I can talk to their ancestors who have passed on. And with all of that information, I can pass on to them and help them decipher it so that they can make decisions in their life of how they want to go, how they want to move past these roadblocks or struggles and challenges that they're having.
I have this image of you and being like the channel through,
Yes.
and you're kind of like the medium communicator between the past and the present. And there's always something that happened in our past
Yes.
and just unexplained.
Yes, there is. And I am. That's a perfect way. In the Reiki world, we do talk about that channel, that we channel the energy from whatever our higher power is into ourselves. And then we can channel that into the person that we're healing. So that is an excellent way to talk about it.
And so one of the things that we keep talking about is finding what keeping them stuck and,
Yes.
and what's all these past things that's holding them back.
Yes.
What are some of the things that are holding people back?
A lot of times it's things that we were told in our childhood, that we weren't good enough in some way, that what we were doing wasn't the right way. A lot of these blocks are learned patterns from our childhood. Either parents or teachers or other adult figures in our lives tell us things, and then we internalize those. And then in our adult years, those become our roadblocks in life. Like somebody told me when I was a child that my drawing wasn't very good. So then we think, I can't draw.
I would say I have that roadblock in my life.
Yes.
I remember in my second grade, my mom sent me to a art class and we had to draw a tree.
Yes.
And so my imagination is that the tree branches would be going behind the houses. So I drew it behind the house. So it looks like the branches have broken. But in art, there's really no right or wrong doing it.
No.
But I got a slap on my hand and say, that's not how you draw a tree. And
Right.
Ever since then, I don't draw trees.
Yes, that is a perfect example. And that leads to a lot of other roadblocks in life. I didn't do that well. So what else am I not doing well?
That's very interesting. So I'm curious because a lot of my audience, entrepreneurs, business owners, and coaches who are trying to get out into the world and they are trying to grow their business, they're trying to get their message out. So how does these kind of like what you said, roadblocks, right, that was holding us back, how did they show up in our business and what is it doing to our creativity?
For me personally, one of my big roadblocks is I didn't want to be visible on social media. It wasn't about me. It was about other things. I was the great reposter of other people's information and posts. I didn't want it to be about me. And that comes from my childhood. And that has been a real big roadblock that I have been addressing in my life, that I personally am showing up on social media. It's pictures of me, pictures I've taken, a lot of information about who I am and what I'm doing with my business and the direction I want my business to go. So that has been a huge hurdle for me to overcome, that I am the person visible on social media.
If you don't mind sharing, what was the message that kept you invisible?
The message was that I needed to be really perfect at everything that I did, that everything that I did in life had to be completely perfect. And unless it was perfect, I shouldn't do it. So that made me a very shy child because I knew I wasn't perfect. So I didn't really put myself out there.
Yeah. And so looking at where you were and where you are now, I see you on social all the time. You're posting and you're here obviously in the podcast and also doing more speaking. I love that for you. And so what are some of the things that we can do on a daily basis that would kind of help us to become more creative, become this unstoppable person that you are today?
It is all about baby steps. Because as humans, we want to stay safe. And that comes from being chased by wild animals and being in wars. That is kind of ingrained into our DNA, that we need to do everything we can to be safe. So by taking little baby steps, just posting one thing on social media that was very personal to me was a huge step, but it was a little thing. And it's like, oh, well, I posted this one little tiny thing and it was really well accepted. So let me post another little thing. And with each little step I took, I felt safer about posting on social media. And people can do that in everyday life. If it is about saying they're a photographer, posting one picture that they took and just say, hey, I'm venturing into the world of photography and here's an image that I took, and see what people say. And for the most part, it's going to be a really good response. People are going to say good things about it. They're going to like it. And just starting those little things where it's with just friends and family, that's a safe space. Saying this one little thing about me. It was really huge for me to admit to people that I was a psychic medium. So by telling friends that I knew who also had abilities that I was a psychic medium and getting that positive feedback from them was really positive. Then I could tell other people and I could tell people I didn't know and I could tell my family who I knew wouldn't be very receptive to it. It was just those little steps to overcome my saying that I'm a psychic medium.
I love that, taking baby steps. I think a lot of us go into, oh, I want to be this person and I want to become that person. And therefore they're taking a big leap into something that really generates a lot of fear. And when I think about things that holding us back, a lot of time I think about the fear.
Yes.
That's holding us back. And so I'm curious because we talk about the creativity and a lot of the photographers, entrepreneurs, and even coaches, they're looking for creativity in their life because it allows us to create the content. It allows us to create videos, to create graphic, you name it, right? There's a lot of things that we do that require creativity.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do we elevate that creativity in our life?
One of the things that I found in my life and from all of my research into creativity is by taking all of those day-to-day things that we have to do and making them into habits and rituals, and then elevating that into habits and routines, and then elevating it into a ritual where we don't have to think about it. It just happens. There is a prompt in life and it happens. For me, every morning, my cat at 6:30 a.m. stands on my bladder which is the prompt for me to get up and feed the cat and then start my morning ritual of getting ready for my day. My shower, my makeup, my coffee. That is all a ritual, and I don't have to think about any of it because it happens the same way every day. The cat stands on my bladder and I go through this routine. So since I don't have to think about it, my brain can wander into creative daydreaming. And with that creative daydreaming, I can think about the other things of life and see it from different perspectives and different ways and come up with different ways of thinking about it, because I'm not thinking about those day-to-day activities. I'm thinking about the next photograph that I want to take, my next marketing campaign, my next social media post. So as I'm thinking about it in just kind of this relaxed way, I come up with different ideas.
Oh, I love that idea. As you're talking about this, I have this image of Marie Kondo, right? So she does a lot of tidy things up.
Yes.
And so it almost sounds like we
Yes.
tidy up our ritual, right? Our daily activity that we
Yes.
have to do, we must do.
Yes.
And so that we can make room
Yes.
for other things.
That is really good, that we are tidying up all the clutter of our mind. We're getting rid of the decision fatigue that so many of us, especially entrepreneurs, suffer from, that we are so tired of making decisions about every little thing that we can really unclutter all of that and bring us into better clarity.
Yeah. So now I'm going to tap into your genius. If for people who feeling overwhelmed and they always have a lot to do, which I know a lot of my audience, they always struggle with this one.
Yes.
They just have so much on their plate. Their mom, their multiple hats that they're wearing, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the exercise that you might be able to walk us through that would help them to tidy up their mind, their cluster?
It would be to write down the steps. Morning routines are always a really good place to start because that seems to be the most hectic for everybody. What are all the things that you have to do every morning? And kind of put them in an order and really just start with a checklist of this is how we're going to do it. And then one day you don't need the checklist. It just starts happening. And then it's happening in such a way that you don't have to think about it, so that you can move on to that creative daydreaming, so you can be thinking of the other things and not the clutter and the day-to-day of what I'm doing.
So it's just a matter of writing things down, making a list of what are some of the things that you have to do, you must do, so that you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yes.
And so that your mind have more way of thinking about other things.
Yes. I have a few clients that are moms. So they drop their kids off at soccer practice, or they need to pick them up from wherever. They're actually also arriving a little early. So they have 5 or 10 minutes in the car that they can just clear their mind and really think about other things before they have to go back into that mom mode and drive the kids someplace else or help them with their homework or whatever that they need to do. So it's also blocking out those times where you can just not think about anything.
Time blocking. I love time blocking.
Time blocking is great. And for me, I don't do a traditional meditation. I sit there and I let my mind think about everything that I'm worrying about. And then at some point I get past all of those things. It's okay, I've thought about the to-do list. I've agonized over the to-do list. What do I really want to think about? And I just let my mind go. And it goes in really interesting and different directions.
Yeah, I personally love time blocking. So a lot of time I will look at my calendar and I just block out the time that I need to do for work. Where I need improvement on is I need to time block my personal life. A lot of times I find myself not blocking out my personal time and I end up squeezing more work to do.
I'm similar. I don't really time block the time to go to the grocery store and meal prep properly. And if I do, it's oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else more fun. But really staying to those time blocks and really allowing yourself to get into that groove to creative daydream so that you can think beyond the ordinary. It's okay, I need to do a social media on this. And you've got your basic graphics, your basic images, you've got some basic copy, but really being able to block out the time to think beyond that, to think about a different way to say it, a more creative way to say it, something that's a little bit more on brand for you than just what AI generated for you.
Right? We can all spot those nowadays because it all sounds oh, it's a golden key to unlock something.
Yes. So what is the different way to say the golden key or, the different words that are really more your voice, and really to get in touch with your internal intuition so that you can really make your voice heard. I took this social media class and they say, this is the way to say things. It's like, but that's not my voice. So really to be able to internalize that and listen to your internal voice of how you want to say it.
I love that. So it brings up my next question would be, there's a lot of noises nowadays. I mean, we're busy. There's a lot of to-dos, limited time, and our time span is so small. But there's also a lot of noise that's outside and also within.
Yes.
What are some of the ways that you can share with us that may be able to help us to listen to that intuitive voice? And what does that sound like or look like?
That intuitive voice sounds like the good voice in the back of your head. Not the one saying there's all this noise going on, there's all these things that we have to do. It's that voice that's saying we need to be more creative, and this is how we can be more creative. These things aren't important to listen to. The 24/7 news coverage isn't important. Turn off the TV and listen to your intuition. Set down the phone and listen to your intuition. And really start listening to that voice in the back of your head that is giving you those really great ideas of how to move your life forward, your business forward.
When is the last time you find yourself in a creative space? And what did you create?
Oh, I was in a creative space this morning when I was working on some homework for a class that I'm taking. I really took the time to sit and reflect on the questions and really get myself into that creative space and listen to my intuition of where I want to take that project.
I would love to hear what you came up with and all these amazing things that you're creating.
Yes.
I think one of the things that stood out for me on your bio is the power of the personal project. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, the personal project that you're looking for the power in is life. That how you can live a more powerful life and a more creative life. And the more power you find in your intuition and your creative daydreaming is what elevates the way that you live and how you get things done and the creative solutions. Even if it's a creative solution on how to get through the traffic and get to wherever you need to be on time. It is just really elevating how you think about things and how you live your life and not being stuck in that minutia of the day-to-day activities.
Can you give us an example of like maybe the client you work with or maybe yourself in terms of that personal project where you started to like just really enjoying and living that creative life?
I have one client that I'm working with now who has really taken that checklist of how she lives her every day, of all those little minutiae of living every day. She is moving past that part and really making it more of a ritual where she just moves through it. And she is finally getting to the place that she's identifying what isn't working in her life. And one of them is her job. So I have been doing some tarot card readings for her so that we can see where she should move for her career. Right now, she's an accountant and she should not be an accountant. It is not a passion for her. She's just in a place that she doesn't even want to get to a place where this is the job and then I can live the rest of my life. She wants to find a job that she's more passionate about. So we've been having a lot of conversations. I've been doing tarot readings. We've been tapping into her ancestors to help really get her clarity on what the next step is. Does she need to go back to school to find a new career? Does she just need to start personal development so that she can move into a different career? So we've been doing a lot of those things so she can move forward to the next steps and really find her passion in life and what is going to make her happy. Because the happier she is in her own life, the happier she'll be in her marriage. And they want to have a family. So the happier and more nurturing parent she can be.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is you're kind of this whole entire person. The way that I see how you're describing it is that the whole person is a project.
Yes.
Like the life itself is a project. Yes. And a lot of us get trapped into, oh, this is what I was told to do, what I should have done, I could have done. So we start following that pattern and that road that really doesn't lead to our passion, that doesn't really right? Doesn't spark that joy. And so I
Right.
love how you help people having that clarity and knowing their
Yes.
next step. And I
Yes.
think it's really important to have some type of direction, especially when we find ourselves at a crossroad
Yes.
and not knowing which
Right.
way to go.
Yes.
And I love how listen to that intuition and being more creative actually allow you to come up with ideas, new
Yes.
innovations, and new vision of what's
Yes.
possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us what you have in mind for the, I don't know, the rest of the year. What's your vision for 2025?
My vision for 2025 is to really start promoting my business so that I can find new people out there who need my services, that I can really help them move forward in life. Because the more people I can help find their passions and find their path in life, the more they're going to then help people they know find their passion in life. I really want to see our world being a much happier, joyful place.
Yeah, I think it's very needed at the moment.
Yes. So by promoting my business and finding those people beyond my circle and the people they refer to me, being able to find people that I don't know that I can help really find their passion in life.
I love that for you. I really love that for you. And you have shared so much of the, I hate to use that word, but I'm going to sound like AI now, the golden nugget. I love how you share all these golden nuggets because I do know a lot of ladies within my community, also my own clients, they have a list of things to do. And really, that creativity is so powerful that it allows them to make more room for what would actually move their business forward, move their life forward.
Yes.
And everything that you had talked about, that listening to the intuition, increasing and elevating our ability to be more creative, those are all the important things that a business owner, entrepreneur, and even everyday life people can really benefit. Can you tell us where our audience can find you?
They can find me on my website at elizabethtoller.com. They can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Elizabeth Toller Artist. And
they can find you.
Yes.
They can also find you on this podcast.
Yes, they can find me on this podcast as well. I'm a content creator for the Voyage Company, so they can find me on Voyage LA and Boulder Journeys.
Ooh, I love those places. I actually had a feature years back on Voyage LA.
Yes.
So, yeah, definitely a good place to be.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the show.
You're welcome.
Do you have any last message or takeaway that you would like to share with the audience?
Just really find the time and the ability to tap into your intuition and develop your creativity in any aspect. Creativity does not mean that you are a painter or a photographer or an artist in any way. My father was, I think, one of the most creative people I've ever met, and he was a computer programmer. He would make up computer programs just out of his head, out of his little brain. So anything that you do, you can approach in a creative way.
I love that. And thank you so much for coming to the show.